down here a little bit so we're not overlapping since you're just like literally through the window.
I know. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear your audio too.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I can talk.
you might have to mute yours down a little bit too. All right. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Rebecca, I think you've got a pretty awesome topic on the table today. What are you bringing us?
Well, I think we have awesome topics every day, but today is, this is called Monday Mind Shift. And so it is going from neglecting personal growth to investing in personal growth. And I know it's something, it's a big change, but I think one of the biggest things is I don't I don't know if a lot of people understand what that personal growth is.
What do you
You
mean?
know, I personal growth is more, it is by definition personal. So it's not, I don't even know how to put this, but what you're changing inside and looking at things differently, that's personal growth.
Okay, so you're the one who brings these topics to the table. So what does it mean to you?
It means a lot, for years as I was, I don't know, changing jobs or maturing, you know, for me, that was personal growth, but I still had the same ideas and concepts in my head as I had always thought about. Um, so I was growing physically, I was growing up, but not here. I wasn't changing my thinking. I wasn't changing my um, looking at things differently to see them with different glasses, I guess. Does that all make sense? I feel like I'm rambling this morning.
So you were growing older, but you weren't necessarily
Mm.
growing in your viewpoint and perspective of internal growth. You were
Right.
you were just living and reacting to life. You weren't really creating your life. You weren't really, developing what you wanted it to be, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those, personal growth is such a change, internal change. You can read all the books. You can read all the books, but until you change it in here, it's not doing you any good.
hmm Well, the thing is that the one thing that I know for sure as I study successful people, there's a lot of things that you can do from, in following different people and taking their advice and this and that and the other. And the whether you believe that you should work out first thing in the morning or you should work out in the evening, or if you follow different people, they'll tell you to get up at 4:30 in the morning, and other people tell you to sleep till 8. Doesn't matter what it is. Everybody's got their different opinion
Eggs are
on
good,
things.
eggs are bad. Yeah.
Yeah, some people believe eggs are good, eggs are bad. It doesn't matter. Everybody's got their different opinions on things. That's not what we're talking about when it comes to personal growth and development, because the thing that I know about every single successful person, they have different viewpoints on different aspects of life, but personal growth is a constant in every one of them. Personal development of their thinking, their communication skills, their ability to influence, their ability to impact people, their ability to bring value to a consistent, consistency of people around them, their ability to change things, their ability to make things better, their ability to create value in the lives and through the lives of other people is a huge part of personal growth and success. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I can go to the gym all day long. I can eat healthy my whole entire life, and I can be successful physically, But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be successful financially or in my business or in other things of that nature, because it's just one aspect. Physical health is important, spiritual health is important, mental health is important. Everything, every aspect of life is important, and you want to make sure that you're improving in those areas. The how you improve in those areas can be different from person to person, but the most important thing is that there's improvement, that there's consistency of growth. And that's where a lot of people seem to miss it, is
Right.
they'll miss that component of it. And it's something that even in my own life, in the early stages of my personal development, professional development, and things of that nature, I truly thought that it was my job in sales, for example, to study the product, to understand the product inside, outside, up, down, know my product extremely, extremely well, which I found out is important, but not the most important. The most important thing that I've found is, how do I communicate my product to a customer or a potential customer? Knowing my product is not the most important. How I communicate that to someone is important. How I can influence someone to buy a product, or influence someone to get engaged in an industry, or to engage in a process. Those are the things that are of utmost importance, and that's a human to human development program. So when I started studying how do I communicate better, how do I speak better, how do I connect better, how do I how do I influence at a higher level, how do I begin to do those things, it was nothing about the product, but it was everything about my ability to connect, to lead, influence, develop, and grow me so that I could grow others with any product or any service. It didn't matter what it was. And that's really when things changed for me. It wasn't about the product. It was all about my ability to connect with the people who are going to buy the product. So in our training today, Rebecca, as you well know, we encourage people, for every 1 hour that you spend on product training, take 2 hours and invest in people training. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. For every 1 hour on product training, invest 2 hours in people training. And I'll guarantee you, you will increase your success level substantially. But that's a key component to personal growth.
I think personal growth comes down to anything that you're doing to make yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what it is. I mean, it's anything that is helping to improve your thinking,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's just something that is elevating where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a learning something new. It could be learning a new skill. If you're improving and if you're growing, that is personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
As long as you're, the one thing I might challenge you on that, and get your feedback on, you can learn a new skill, but if you're going to learn a skill just to learn a skill, that's that's not good growth.
well, it's just like if you're reading a book to read the book,
Yeah,
if you're not, right,
right.
if you're not,
You want to be able to learn something so that you can do something with it that's going to influence someone, right? You want to do something with it, even
well,
if it's
even
influencing
influence yourself,
yourself. Yeah,
right,
yeah, especially if it's influencing yourself. You can't, like John Maxwell would say, you cannot give what you don't have.
right.
You have to influence yourself first. Yeah, yeah. So those are things on, neglecting personal growth. A lot of people, they'll kind of laugh at it, they kind of this and that and the other, but every single successful person that I've ever studied, from the old titans in history to the most successful people in our modern world, success being defined in any different in any different way. Doesn't matter how you measure it, whether it be financially or whatever the case is. It doesn't matter how you look at success. Every single successful person I've ever studied invested in developing themselves and improving their skills, personal skills. That was huge. That's been a game changer for me.
I think it comes back to, influencing. What are we letting influence us? And especially as young folks today, what's influencing them? TikTok and Facebook, and depending on what algorithm that they get sucked into, what's, I think of a lot of young women that are influenced by the beauty industry and how they're supposed to look and how they should look, and it really takes away in here confidence. It takes away loving yourself, and and I think if you set out to read something, and I'm going to bring up the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, if there is not one thing that you can take away in that book, I suggest you reread it, because there's something in there for everybody. And if your personal growth is consisting of listening to Facebook, listening to TikTok, my biggest suggestion would be to really dive into a book, or because it starts to work on your internal. That's where a lot of the healing needs to take place. That's where a lot of the change has to take place. And when you're talking about influencing, TikTok, like I said, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, they're huge influencers, especially in our young people's lives right now. And I hope as they grow and they learn as they get older to invest in themselves, invest in that personal growth. Take the time to read the books and to listen to maybe a podcast of John Maxwell, or somewhere along that line, even our Monday morning mind shift. Hopefully that'll help influence somebody to learn on their personal growth.
Yeah. Well, it's an exciting time, to be in history. If you're joining us and you want to join in our mentorship program at noon, I would highly encourage you to jump on and be a part of that, because we're going to be talking at noon about the 3I lifestyle, the influence, impact, and income. And the cool thing about that that process, the 3I system in today's world, we're all being influenced by something. We're all being impacted by something, and we're all experiencing some type of income in our life, whether that's financial, whether that's spiritual, whether it's networking, things of that nature. We're going to talk about what income really is. And the cool thing about the world we live in today, you do have unlimited access to different things. You have unlimited access to us here, to, like you said, John Maxwell, to so many other different people in this industry that that you can connect with. But the difference maker is that you want to listen to one voice. This is a phrase that I learned a long time ago, is listen to one voice. And what does that mean? In your personal growth journey, you need to know why you're developing yourself, why you're developing your skills, why you're developing the who you are. And then you want to connect with the people around you, connect with the right people to really take that growth to the next level. The one thing that we're highly engaged in, and that I'm very, very passionate about myself, is the world of water. You know, the water industry intrigues me a lot. I mean, from a lot of different angles, from water quality to water quantity issues. You know, the water industry as a whole is a very, very intriguing industry. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is if I'm going to impact this industry, whether it be with technology, whether it be in agriculture or in a community, whether I'm talking to municipalities or I'm talking to farmers, my ability to communicate is priceless. My ability to take an idea or a concept that's created by someone else or with our team, whoever it may be, it doesn't matter what it is, but my ability to connect it to someone, to communicate to someone, my ability to lead someone through that industry is extremely important. So that's really where I've invested my time, is why I got connected with John Maxwell. He's the leader of communication. And I knew that if we were going to truly impact in that industry, communication was going to be critical. And through that, there's about 7 different people that I'm very connected with because they help me as a person, as a single individual. They help me to connect to that industry and all the people in that industry at a better level. And those are the things that I looked for in looking for that one voice. Listen to the one voice. I needed to connect with the people that were going to help me in my position in that industry to be successful. And that was the voice, if you will, that I was listening to. And that's one of the things you have to be very careful with in personal development, especially when there's so many different people out here. You want to connect with those that are going to help you get where you need to go, where you're called to go, where you know your purpose in life is. And that's who you want to connect with. It's not just everything that you see on TikTok, everything you see on Facebook. You don't need to follow everything. You need to follow the right things. And that's going to make the difference. So that's really what I would challenge people with, today. Jump on our mentorship program, because we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about what's influencing you. Is it the right influence? Is it not the right influence? How are you influencing others? Are you giving the right influence? Because if you're not going to get the right impact. And those are all different things to think about from a 3i Life perspective. So just some thoughts there on personal growth.
Well, and like I mean, there for a long time right after we started getting, or I started getting into leadership and more of it, I didn't feel like I could coach or teach because I didn't have the personal growth myself. So it took a long time to dive into that and learn it myself before I was ever comfortable or able to pass that along. And but personal growth is, just like it says, it's personal. It's
Yep.
something that you have to do for yourself and you have to want. I mean, nobody can make you do it, but you have to want it. You have to want to to grow, especially internally and mentally. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you have to want that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. You know, that's a big part of it, Rebecca, is you have to desire it. You know, I see people get really excited about their jobs. In fact, I'm thinking of one specific client who 6, 7 years ago, one of our very first coaching clients. And I challenged him to really start thinking about personal growth and to start investing in personal development in his own life. And the first 3 to 4 weeks that he was doing this, it was 100% product focused because that's what he'd known all of his life. The thing was, I couldn't just tell him that that was the wrong approach He had to realize it's the wrong approach. This is again something in your personal growth process that you need to understand is you have to realize that when things don't work, you got to change something in here. And one of the things that I made him very, very aware of through the process of coaching was the fact that he could study products all day long. You can study it till the cows come home. You can know it so well that there's nobody that you could beat anybody in competition on product knowledge. But not one part of that is going to help you grow your business. That's a big difference. And when he began to realize that his abilities to understand the product after I think 6 weeks is what it was. He was going out and talking to people and he was getting better and he was studying all this stuff, but nothing was making an impact. And I kept asking him every week, what do you got to do differently? What do you have to do differently? What needs to change? This and that and the other. By his own accord, he came to the realization that he had to start practicing how to listen. It wasn't how to tell. It wasn't about how to tell everybody about the product knowledge. It was learning how to listen to what the demands were for the product and listen to the customers telling him what they really were interested in. And when he learned the personal process of listening, it completely changed everything in his life. His outcome was his results started going through the roof. He started selling more of the product. He started increasing referrals like nobody's business. Things really changed for him in a very, very short amount of time. Not because he knew the product, but because he learned how to listen. And that was part of his personal growth. He had to learn that process. That makes sense?
Mhm.
So
You know,
those are,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
personal growth is such a big, wide variety of things.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
But, like we always say, you got to take the first step.
Yep,
You got to take the
absolutely.
first step.
All right. Do we have anybody that wants to jump in and join this conversation? We are missing one of our Zoom members today because we're sitting in his office. So Randy can join us anytime. Any thoughts from the Zoom side of things? We got Randy right here.
Yep,
There he
I'm
is.
here. Hi.
Any thoughts on the topic, Randy? Personal growth and development?
It's very important. That's kind of an obvious statement,
Obvious,
but
right? Yeah.
yeah. Myself, I've learned that that's probably the most critical thing, or at least for myself, of developing as I approach my later years in business. I'm finding that personal growth is probably the most important thing, so that as a leader, I can transfer the leadership
Hmm.
at, we're kind of in that process. We're taking time. I'm not old,
Yeah.
technically, I'm approaching old, but
We all are.
yeah, we all are. It beats the alternative.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we have time, we hope, that we can take a concerted effort to be able to transfer leadership in this company. And
Yep.
it's all about personal growth within me and then transferring that desire of personal growth to my staff who will one day be the sole owners.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, that and that's another interesting thought. When you listen to what Randy was saying right there, the importance of it as he ages into life, but also as his company ages forward. The interesting thing is that we have to think about in transition of companies or transition of roles. You don't get ready for transition at the time of transition. You're getting ready for transition up to that point. You're getting ready for it. And this is one of the things that a lot of a lot of times is misunderstood, especially in agriculture. We've seen that it's highly, highly misunderstood that transition isn't just going to happen. It's not going to just, boom, here it is, hand the baton off and go. No, it's handing the baton off and then being there for mentorship to help to communicate how to be successful in the transition process. And I've seen that, read stories about it. I've read, a lot of different articles on this taking years, 5, 10 years in some cases. Other people are able to do it in a year. In some critical cases where there's a health issue and someone, his health is deteriorating very quickly, their transition happens very quickly. Those are really, really, really hard situations that you don't want to have to go through. So those are the kind of things that you want to think about in personal growth and development is there's going to be a transition. It doesn't matter, it's not if, it's when. And
Yeah.
there's going to be a transition. The question is, are you ready for it? Are you ready psychologically? Are you ready mentally, spiritually, physically? Are you ready to make that transition? That happens before the time, not during the time.
Yeah.
Kylan?
So, yeah, David, how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Coming back to the listening thing, it's a skill that I'm not good at because I might hear, but I don't listen.
Hmm.
And so there's a difference. Like I can sit there and it can go in. But it's kind of reading what you're hearing, as opposed to just like hearing it. And
Yeah.
so I think there's a difference between hearing and listening. And then the other thing is, and this is what I'm really not good at, is hearing what's not said or listening to what's not said, because you're not even hearing it. Then it's picking up on the other messages, and there's something my wife is really good at. She'll read the room, or read the body language, or read, just as her intuition, you might say. But it's more, so things that I certainly need to work on. But I just wanted to draw the point between hearing and listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hearing what's not said, or listening to what's not said.
Yeah. You bring up a very good point, David, because listening is not just what you hear with your ears. It's what you see. It's sometimes listening. You mentioned the word intuition. Intuition, the law of intuition is one of the 21 laws that John Maxwell talks about. Listening is so much more than what comes through your ears. It's what comes through the heart. It's what comes in not only through the ears, but the eyes, the senses, how you see people respond, how you see them react. Even being able to identify, is that a reaction or is that an intentional response? And when you see this in people, that's a part of growth. It's something to be studied. It's something to be aware of. It's something to write down. It's one of the reasons why in our sales program, we encourage people after every single sales call, and this is something I still do this today. After every sales call, drive down the road a mile, get away from the noise, stop where you are, and write down some things. Become very aware. Write down 3 or 4 things from that meeting. That raises your awareness in the immediate time. It gives you something to think about as you're driving to your next meeting. It allows you to learn the elements of listening at the whole body level when you just stop, go back, and think about the meeting you just left, because that is a huge part of learning to listen. It's not just what comes in the ears, it's what comes in at a whole body level. That'll change your world. That'll completely change your world. But that's something that a lot of people, I know they won't do it because it is a personal growth process. But if you take the time and stop, grab a pen, grab a paper, today I use my iPad, write down what you experienced. And I have a series of questions that I go through. One is, what did they say that I wasn't expecting? How did they respond in a way that I wasn't expecting? What did I learn? What did they learn? And what's next? Because if I'm in those types of questions, those are things that I can promise you I'm going to get better at. I'm going to get better at understanding because I'm going to recognize things that are too easily missed. By stopping, being intentional, asking questions, and writing those things down, you'll focus on the right things moving forward. And that's a form of listening. It really is. So,
I think that just reviewing that, taking the time to just think about the meeting, you might, in doing that, you might have heard the words, but then once you break it down and you look at it from, spend a couple of minutes reflecting, that's when the listening might come. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's what they're really trying to get at.
Exactly. It's exactly right, David.
So rather than even thinking personal development, it's just a reflection or review on how did that go. It's kind of like in sport, you have a really good play. Why did that work? Or why didn't it work?
Yeah, and what that is a form of personal development. That's the crazy part. And when you do that, when you make that a habit, when you make that a lifestyle, David, next thing you know, you're leaving every meeting that way. And subconsciously, you're starting to do those things. And
It's funny, I
that's
did that
personal
when I
development.
was very much every meeting early on in my career. It's one of those things that I guess I didn't develop it as I mean, I've forgotten to keep doing it as you get older and busier and everything else. So yeah, I
Yeah,
used to do it a lot.
Yeah, it's worth doing that again, David. It's worth slowing down and taking the time to do that again. You'll be surprised what you learn. So, all right. Well, Rebecca, we're past the half hour. So, any closing thoughts from your end?
Nope. Just make sure you start. Make sure
That's a big part of it.
that's the biggest, little steps, but make sure you start. So,
Yeah, you'll never get to the outcome if you don't get the start. So,
yep.
yeah, exactly right. Okay, well, Rebecca, thank you very much for putting this together. Those of you who are interested, we are opening up our 3i Life mentorship program at 12 o'clock today. It's gone out to everyone in our list, and we'd love to have you guys come in and join us and be a part of that. So I'm looking forward to making those connections with you. We also have a leadership and sales program coming up here at the end of the month. Be watching your email for that. Be watching Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're at, and we'll have more information on that. So all of those are all about influence, impact, and income. And make sure that you're growing in the way that you really, really want to grow. All right, my friends, God bless. We'll see you here next week.
Okay, bye.